Some artists are inspired by the idea from Japanese art focused on elements of light and dark. This concept is called Notan. Notan is a Japanese idea of balance of light and dark area in a composition. So what's a composition? Well, it's a place where you place your elements, the things, on your paper or your canvas. One of the most familiar symbols that illustrate this concept is the circular yin and yang. This is from the Eastern philosophy explaining balance. Notan is essentially the idea that elements of dark and light are equally important and need each other. You can't have negative space without positive space, and vice versa. This has been the practice of Japanese art for centuries. You can find examples of pleasing compositions using the idea of Notan in works of many famous Japanese artists. You can see this example in Nano Sensetsu's Old Plum. He painted across 4 large screens in 1646. And see how the dark design balances the light to create harmony? In this work by Takaku Agai in early 1800s, he illustrates the tiger in its environment, showing the balance of dark elements like the tiger, the bamboo, and the tree, balancing with the space around it. Perfect harmony. So we're going to take the idea of Notan and we're going to make our own design using black and white paper and a marker, thin marker. So start with a white piece of paper and then find a piece of black paper or dark colored paper. I prefer black, but if you don't have black, just find something that's dark in your house. And what we're going to be doing is actually cutting it and then gluing it in the center and then cutting pieces out and flipping them to fit on the paper. So if I cut out this shape here, I flip it so that it's the opposite and filling up the negative space out here. Now remember, when you're designing your shapes, try to make them organic, but these organic shapes can go off the edge, so you have to be careful. On the side that's closest to the narrow part of your paper, there should be a smaller cutout. So I made a mistake in this design where I cut out this shape too large, this here. See that? And then it went off the edge of the paper. It's up to you how you choose to do it. If you want it to go off the paper, that's fine. But if you don't, just be aware that if you cut far into the middle and then flip it out, it's going to go off the edge of the paper. Okay? So the paper that I used is, of course, smaller. It fits in the center of the paper with space all around. Okay? So on the outside, the skinny part that's going into the small space, I cut out a small shape. You can draw with a pencil or you can just carefully cut out. So if I were to put this here, I can flip this out and it would line up. The edge of the paper is now flipped and it lines up that way. So now I have a balance, just like the yin and the yang, light and dark. Okay? On the other side, I can do the same thing. Again, I'm using organic shapes. When I say organic, it's shapes that are from nature. Alright, so it goes from here, and then you flip it out. Almost looks like a heart or a butterfly. It's already coming together. Okay, now I'm going to cut out another shape. Make more of a leaf shape. Then these I can make longer because I have more space on the bottom and the top. Okay, so put this back. I'm not gluing anything on yet. I will do it all together. Flip that over and it fits nicely like that. Okay, do another one. Make this one a wider shape. I apologize for the glitchy camera. Okay, there we go. Back, take a peek, and flip it over, just like that. Okay? So let's do the top. I'm going to make a little stem on this one. Be very careful not to cut your pieces into smaller pieces. Make sure it's one full shape. Okay. Oops, I flipped it over. Okay, line it up. Loving it so far. Make sure it fits like a puzzle before you flip it over. Just like that. Just fits, so you gotta be careful not to go too far. We'll do one more shape and then I'll show you how to glue. And then the spaces in between, we're going to try designing it in something called a Zentangle. You might have practiced that in your art classes last year. A Zentangle is a design that's really a doodle. Oh, there we go, fits nicely. The doodle, where the doodle turns into a pattern. Right? So I made a circle with a circle inside of a circle. And then I made another one and I repeated it. It became a pattern. Then I had empty space. The negative space, I wanted to put more elements, so I made more dots. This one is just a grid, like a checkerboard. And then I put the lines that go in all the way across, and I'll show you. And this one makes it look like it's moving or three-dimensional just by making a wave line that's consistent all the way down. Okay? I'll show you more of that later. Okay, now I can take my Notan design and I can start gluing. Now here's my opportunity to adjust. So I want to move this down so that this leaf fits on better. If you want it to be in the center, you can leave it in the center. So here's what I have to do. Now that I'm happy with these pieces, move them away a little bit. And then I'm going to take it and I flip it over the center piece only. And then I put some glue. Make sure your glue is working. You can use a glue stick. I prefer Elmer's bottle glue, but if you have a glue stick, feel free to use it. Just have to control how much glue you use if you use the bottle glue. Okay, put it center best you can on the sides, and I did adjust for the top. Okay, so I press it down gently. Now, what I need to do is take all of my pieces and put them back in the puzzle. This is an important step, because otherwise you can put glue on the wrong side. So you flip it over, right? Then you just need to put a little dot of glue, because you could always go back and add more glue later once they're in place. Okay? Now that you have your puzzle all glued, then you can flip them back over. Make sure you line up that line with the edge of the black rectangle or square. You can do a square if you would like to do a square, that's fine. I chose a rectangle because my paper is rectangular. And then I flip it and make sure the line helps you to put it in the right place. This line I'm talking about. Straight line. Gently press it so it doesn't move. And I'll go back and I'll add more glue later if anything is pulling up from the paper. Okay. And flip it over. And flip this over. And we flip this over. Alright. So now I can take my glue. You can put it on your finger if you're using bottle glue. And glue down any spots that are peeling up. That's good. Oops. You don't want to have any glue on the black paper, so wipe it if you do dab it on there by accident. Okay? So I'm going to do that, and you can follow along. You can pause on these frames when you're doing your Zentangles later on in your design. So I'm going to take some of the ideas from these Zentangle things I find in books. You can find them in books, you can find it on the internet. Just type in the word Zentangle. Zentangle. So, like I said, they're doodles that become patterns. And I had done the netting, and I had done some swirls and some circles. So I'm going to try the waves on the first one, this one here. Okay, so if I take the idea of the waves, and inside the white space that has been opened up, that created negative space, I'm going to make positive space. Just going to do the design from the idea from waves. Now, you can change it. I love starting with an idea and then expanding on it and making it better, making it mine. So this side's going to curve up. You don't have to copy what I do. Please never copy what I do when coming up with your own ideas. It could just be a starting point. And like I said, I'm not copying, but I'm using the idea to start my design. So this is a start of a Zentangle doodle. Zentangles have become so popular among my artist friends all around the world, and we share our Zentangles on Instagram. We put them on trading cards. We share them on all different types of places where artists come together. Now this one I'm going to curve up. Make it look like it's 3D coming up at you. So in this space already you can see how it's changed from a white blank space to one that has a texture in the design. I'll still have the balance of the white and dark with the background, but at least now, just like in the tiger, how the tiger had the details, this is the space where I'm putting my details and my patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and continue, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. Have fun with this. I wanted to show you how to do the grid before I go off and do it on my own, because the grid comes up in so many designs. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to do a grid. Okay, so like I started in that one, I just make straight lines that are parallel, like a train track, parallel. Okay, then I go on the opposite direction. So I did vertical, now I'm doing horizontal, or horizontal doing vertical. So it looks like a checkerboard. Now you can do what I had done in my design here for the netting pattern. All I did was make a line on the inside. I'll show you how simple that is. In, curving in, all the way across. And you do it around the other side.